You're welcome. Very great to see you. Very well. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor for us. Thank you very much. Due to Prince Leonel. The owner of the castle. You are going to enjoy this evening with us. My fiancée.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Miss Juan, of course. His wife.
Yeah, it's a pleasure you receive this paper that we are going perhaps to show you after dinner, I think. And so, will I leave you? But more than that, it's here. Signature of the first Congress. You see, 1931, the 5th of July, to our archive. And it's here you find, which is yes, because that had to be kept in the archive of the family. But there's something which is wrong in the painting. When you see it, I think you're not going to see it with the light. If you look at the painting, there's something wrong. I'm not in shape with the rest of the frame. We've got another sitting room, which is over there. We go there.
Prime Minister Garibashvili, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Salome Sisnal-Dugarte, and I am the current president of the Harvard Club of Belgium. And I would like to give you a very warm welcome on behalf of the other members of the board. So welcome to the club, and welcome to the Castle of Westerloo as well. Some months ago, we organized an event about Armenia. So we talked about Armenia. We now know everything about Armenia. Now, this evening, it will be devoted to Georgia. And we are extremely privileged and honored to have Prime Minister Iraklii Garibashvili and a huge delegation of members of his government, members of the embassy as well, civil society, and the business. I would dare to mention all of them, but my Georgian is really very poor, so I think it's better like this. We are also very pleased to have this evening other members of the club, other members of Belgian society, and we very much hope that we will all learn a lot about Georgia. Now, I would also extend my thanks to the family Merod for having hosted us this evening. We have organized many events of the Harvard Club in this magnificent setting, and I think that this castle has really witnessed, some of our more fascinating and more special events, and this will certainly be one of those. Now, before moving on to the dinner, I would just say a very few words about Georgia, with my probably very poor knowledge, but given my professional information as a lawyer, I would just say a few words about what's going on. Now, geographically, Georgia is a country that is in the Caucasus region of Eurasia. It is strategically located at the Western Asia and Eastern Europe, and certainly this makes it a very important and strategic partner to the EU and to NATO. We all know that relationships between the EU and Georgia have been, there for quite a while. Georgia is already a member of the United Nations. It's a member of the WTO, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the Council of Europe, so a number of organizations, but definitely now working on becoming a full member of NATO and on becoming as well, increasing its ties with the EU, with eventually a view of becoming a member. So throughout these years, as I was saying, so since 1992 that I think that relationship started, Georgia has developed from a so-called Partnership and Cooperation Agreement that entered into force in 1999 to a Georgia-EU Action Plan, which sort of formed part of the European Neighborhood Policy in 2006. And now there is the EU-Georgia Association Agreement, which even includes a comprehensive free trade area. This association agreement was initialed in November 2013, and it's going to be signed very soon, and I understand extremely soon, probably next month. Now, we will hear more about that in a minute. I will just give a quick reminder in terms of the format of the event. As usually, after the first course, Benjamin will give an introduction of the speaker, And after that, the speaker, Prime Minister, will deliver his speech. And after the second course, there will be time for questions and answers. And with this in mind, please enjoy the evening. Thank you.
To welcome you tonight for the conference dinner of the Harvard Club of Belgium. We are very honored to have with us Prime Minister Iraklī Garibashvili and several members of his government as our guests for this evening. As many of you know, but I see a lot of new faces, the Harvard Club of Belgium invites leaders to talk about topics in which they have shown true leadership. Past speakers to our club included Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Musharraf of Pakistan, Prince Hassan of Jordan, Prince Albert of Monaco, President Vicente Fox of Mexico, European President Herman Van Rompuy, President of the European Commission José Manuel Barroso, many ambassadors, EU commissioners, leaders in business, science and society. Our speaker for this evening, Prime Minister Iraklī Garibashvili, is well worthy to rank in our list of leaders having honored our club with their visit. The Prime Minister was born in 1982 and graduated from Tbilisi State University with a degree in international relations in 2004. Afterwards, he went on to study at the Sorbonne University and obtained in 2005 a master's degree in international relations. He became afterwards Director General of Mr. Ivanishvili's charity organization Kartu. In 2005, he became a member of the supervisory board of the Kartu Bank, and in 2007, the director of Georgian Dream Foundation. The Prime Minister entered politics in 2011, when Mr. Ivanishvili founded his party Georgian Dream Democratic Georgia. After a victory in 2012, in the 2012 parliamentary elections, he became, at the age of 30, Minister of Internal Affairs in the government of Mr. Ivanishvili. In November 2013, he succeeded the Prime Minister in becoming one of the youngest world leaders. Before passing the floor to the Prime Minister, I want to add a few words to what Salome said. I would like to add a few words about Georgia, a country which I have visited several times and which I really came to love. Georgia has so much to offer, but is unfortunately relatively unknown to many Europeans. The country is, like Salome said, literally on the crossroads between Europe and the Far East, Russia and Turkey, which gives it a tremendous richness in history, in culture, in nature. Georgia is the oldest wine-producing country in the world, which many people do not know. It has a large variety of landscapes, ranging from mountains with ski resorts to untouched valleys and beautiful beaches. The government has implemented very dramatic economic and fiscal measures, which we can only dream of in Europe. It inserted, for instance, in the constitution that no additional taxes can be created besides 3 or 4 flat taxes. International organizations such as the USO acknowledge the tremendous work done by the government to make Georgia one of the most attractive growth countries to invest in. This is reflected in an impressive climb in international rankings. As I witnessed firsthand during my several visits there, the government is doing all it can to make life for investors as easy as possible, which unfortunately cannot always be said about our European governments. Europe is a country, in my opinion, to watch, as it will be the growth country closest located to Europe. Europe is and should be part of Georgia should and be part of Europe, and I strongly recommend you visit this beautiful country. Before giving the floor to the Prime Minister, I would like to thank again the Princess de Merode for again having opened up the castle for us. But I would also like to thank my good friends, Prince Juan Bagacioni, who is sitting over there, for having invited me in the first place to come to Georgia. Thank you, Juan. Prime Minister, I've said enough. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Dear Madam President, dear Mr. Van Oudenhoven, thank you for these kind words of introduction. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and pleasure to speak before such a distinguished audience this evening. It is notably a pleasure to have the opportunity to follow up on the very interesting conversations I had with Prince de Merode, Mr. Van Oudenhoven, and the delegation of Belgian business representatives who were in Tbilisi just a few months ago. I would also like to express my gratitude to the Prince and the Merode family for their very kind hospitality. Thank you. And for hosting this dinner here tonight in their beautiful home. Tonight I would like to focus on three main issues. First is the domestic issues, what my government has done since taking office in 2012, and our plans for the future. Second, how Georgia is preparing for a close association with the European Union. And third, I would like to conclude with a brief review of the many security challenges facing Georgia in a very volatile international situation. Now, the first issue, domestic issues. I believe one of the most important achievements of my nation has been our commitment to democratic reforms, the success of which has been widely recognized by our international partners. A key milestone was the 2013 presidential elections, which was widely praised as free and fair. And this was really unprecedented, not only in my country, but also in the region. We are looking forward to replicating their success at the municipal level on June 15th, so in 2 or 3 weeks. Another key benchmark of Georgia's democratic consolidation has been recent constitutional amendments that have created a fairer system of checks and balances between the legislative and executive branches. We aim to build a strong parliamentary democracy, provide for the separation of and balance of powers and responsibilities between independent state organs, while ensuring authority is exercised at the level closest to the people. We have strengthened Parliament's oversight of government action and decentralized power to regional and local representative bodies. We have also implemented a number of reforms to strengthen the independence of the judiciary. Ending impunity and enforcing the rule of law was a key demand of the Georgian people and the international community ahead of the 2014-2012 elections. While reforms and capacity building are still underway, we have achieved much. Today there is no selective justice in Georgia, but equally no one is above the law. We have also agreed a new national human rights strategy and adopted action plan that is designed to bring the country's legal and institutional frameworks, as well as human rights culture and practice, in line with European standards. The plan touches upon law enforcement, the judicial and penitentiary systems, the labor market, social services, as well as national and local government structures. Progress will be measured and officials will be accountable for implementation. Just a few weeks ago, we also enacted a law prohibiting and preventing all forms of discrimination. We call it anti-discrimination law. And we may still have some way to go, but it is my hope that before long we will join Belgium at the top of the world rankings in terms of respect for human rights. In addition to sweeping democratic reforms, Georgia is poised for an era of economic growth. We have made great progress to ensure a free and open economic environment and have undertaken numerous reforms to further advance economic opportunities for both domestic and international businesses. We have cracked down on corruption. Georgia today ranks number 8 worldwide for ease of doing business. And in the first quarter of this year, our economy grew by 7.4%. Already from the second half of the year, we hope the provisional entry into force of a deep and comprehensive area, free trade area agreement, as we call it, DCFTA, with the European Union, to further boost the economy. Our aim is to ensure the continued development of the private sector through strong protection of property rights, effective competition legislation and commercial dispute settlement systems, a simplified tax system, and the development of capital markets and other financing mechanisms. Our economic success has been recognized and applauded by the international community. The World Bank has focused 6.3% economic growth for Georgia through 2014. A recent survey by the Heritage Foundation ranked Georgia as the 22nd freest country in the world, citing improvements in 6 out of 10 economic freedom categories, including the management of public finance, investment freedom, monetary freedom, and property rights. The same survey ranked Georgia 12th out of 43 countries in the European region. Now, in order to further boost investment in Georgia, several important funds are already operational and others are planned. Successful funds include the Agriculture Management Fund, which for a year now has been supporting companies who are active in agricultural production, and the Georgian Partnership Fund, which supports large-scale investment initiatives. In addition, a dedicated private equity fund, the Georgian Co-Investment Fund, was established in September 2013, and this fund is actively seeking greenfield and brownfield investment opportunities in key sectors of Georgia's economy, notably energy, tourism and hospitality, agriculture and manufacturing. Many of these sectors are extremely vibrant and offer excellent opportunities for companies from across Europe. So allow me to briefly highlight two. The Georgian energy sector offers strong, untapped potential for investment. Currently, our country utilizes only 18%, 1/8, of its vast hydropower resources. The Georgian power grid is connected to the grids of all neighboring countries. In 2012, investments in the energy sector accounted for 19.7% of total FDI, and figures for the first 9 months of 2013 put this investment at over 20%. A second very strong sector is tourism and hospitality, where Georgia boasts one of the highest growth rates in the world. In 2012, Georgia received more than 4.3 million visitors, up to 56% on the previous year. And just for your information, the Georgian population is only 4.5 million. In 2013, this number increased to 5.4 million, and demand continues to outpace supply. Brands such as, Marriott, Sheraton, Hilton, Radisson, and Holiday Inn are well established in Georgia, and some more five-star hotels are going to be built this year and next year. But there remains plenty of scope for new suppliers. Our country is also uniquely positioned to capitalize on increasing trade flows between Europe, the Caspian region, and Central Asia and China. We provide the shortest route between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea region. And our country remains a secure transit route for Caspian gas. For your information, a railway, connecting Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey is nearly completed, and it will further advance trade of goods in the whole region. We are investing heavily in road infrastructure, and we also plan to build a new deep-sea port near Batumi. In short, Georgia's economy is doing well and set for further progress. An EU-Georgia investment conference scheduled for 13th of June in Tbilisi, Georgia, aims to highlight further opportunities provided by the DCFTA. The mentioned conference will be opened by Commission President Barroso. This high-level event also aims to consolidate EU support for Georgia and demonstrate the attraction of our country for European investors. And I hope to meet many of you again at this conference. I would like to take this opportunity and invite you all in Georgia so that together we can further discuss how Georgia can serve as a gateway for Belgian companies interested in doing business in the region. Now, very briefly on the relations with the European Union. Let me now, turn to that point. You will say that I have already mentioned that the EU, quite a bit. Indeed, our relationship with the European Union is already so intense that it is impossible for me to talk about, domestic reforms without talking about the European Union. And this trend is intensifying rapidly in my country. As you're most likely aware, I'm in Belgium together with my cabinet in order to meet tomorrow with the members of the European Commission. I shall be seeing President Barroso, and my ministers will be having separate talks with their commissioner counterparts. At the top of each of our meeting agendas is planning for the implementation of the association agreement, which we will sign on June 27. This has already been confirmed. Trade being a community competence, the DCFTA will come into force within weeks. To apply the agreement, the Georgian government will also not wait for the ratification of the European Parliament, and I do not even attempt to quantify them. There being 4 in Belgium alone, if I'm not mistaken. I'm often asked what we expect after we sign the association agreement. That's the main question. The short answer is hard work. The signing is an important milestone for our country. Our ultimate goal, however, is membership of the European Union. We know this will be a long and hard, arduous path, but we are encouraged by the numerous recent signs of support we have received for this objective. In April, the European Parliament stated that Georgia is a European state, has a European perspective, and may apply for membership of the Union. Just last week, French President François Hollande, who was in Tbilisi, by the way, said he supports Georgia's aspiration to become a member of the European family. And President Van Rompuy reiterated that the association agreement is not the end goal of our cooperation. Therefore, it encourages us to do more. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the 2004 enlargement, when the EU accepted 10 new member states in the European Union. All the assessments I have read point to the success of this historic enlargement. The EU gained a bigger market. It became more competitive, and it continued to function in an orderly fashion, and most importantly, it successfully exported stability eastward. I am convinced that Georgia can also contribute to the continued success of the European project. First of all, Georgia is a reliable, democratic partner for the European Union, and our European integration is irreversible. The question is how far and how fast we can go. As the elections for the European Parliament begin in just 2 days, my hope is that one day the people of Georgia may also take part in this great democratic exercise. In the meantime, I believe that the association agreement and DCFTA will serve as a catalyst to further reform in my country. We have to align much of our legislation with that of the European Union to comply with the association agreement. And for our democratic institutions, this will require immense focus and coordination. But we will do everything, we will implement it, and we will certainly also confront further vested interests, but we have a clear and strong mandate from the people of Georgia to take the zone. Indeed, 85% of Georgians support EU integration path. In the private sector, the DCFTA will contribute to economic growth, promote integration and with world markets and global supply channels, as well as open new prospects for Georgia and for entrepreneurs doing business in our country. Products of, or services produced in Georgia will get free access to the EU market. And very briefly, Georgia will, this will open up tremendous opportunities for the country. Georgia will have an access to 900 million market, 400 million former CIS countries, plus Turkey and the European market. Europe is where Georgia belongs, and nothing, can derail us from this track of integration. We very much hope that the European Union also acknowledges this perspective and providing a clear EU membership perspective to the successful countries of the Eastern Partnership will change the outlook of our region and ensure that crises similar to Ukraine do not happen again. This is very important. Now, the last point, as for the security environment in the region and the main tracks of our foreign policy. When Russia annexed Crimea, most governments condemned the move as a violation of the post-Cold War security order in Europe. Few stopped to remember that Russia already annexed 1/5 of Georgia's territory in 2008. And Russia's behavior today has an obvious impact on our security as well. We have no diplomatic relations with them, but we remain committed to seeking a peaceful solution to our differences and to normalizing relations with them. We have pledged not to use force in pursuing de-occupation and are a constructive party to the Geneva international talks. And we made a number of constructive steps since we came in power. And Russia also gradually started to open its market for Georgian products, improved transport links, and improved humanitarian and cultural contacts. However, despite some, the progressive and peaceful efforts of my government, we were facing a number of, provocative activities last year, such as the installation of barbed wire fences along the ABL occupation line. But we continue to be constructive, but we stay principled in main issues. We're obviously concerned about the situation in Ukraine. The annexation of Crimea has been followed by a campaign of destabilization in eastern Ukraine. And we believe that Ukrainians should have the right to decide their own future, and that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine should be respected by everyone. Georgia's relations with the other countries in the region, including Armenia and Azerbaijan, Turkey and Iran, are very good. In the Caucasus, we are seeking to promote further regional integration and become a hub for regional networks and initiatives. The most important pillar of Georgia's approach to international security remains our relationship with the European and Euro-Atlantic institutions. As I noted earlier, we believe that European Union membership is the most important long-term guarantor of security for our country. In the short to medium term, however, the role of NATO and the importance of Georgia's membership perspective for regional security and can hardly be overestimated. In 2008, at the NATO summit in Bucharest, the alliance decided that Georgia would become a member of NATO. This principled position was reiterated to me by Secretary General Rasmussen last month when I met with him. For our country, the upcoming NATO summit in Wales is the best opportunity to reward our country for its progress and role as a committed and reliable partner for the Allies, and set our concrete next steps towards membership. As some of you know, Georgia is the largest non-NATO contributor to the ISAF mission in Afghanistan. Even after the NATO troop withdrawal at the end of the year, we are willing to stay in Afghanistan and assist in the process of institution building by sharing our experience. The geostrategic dynamics of the Black Sea are constantly changing. And hence, we strongly encourage the European Union and US to continue to play a key role in shaping the stability and prosperity of the region. Continued support and engagement will resonate and will deliver a powerful message that democracy, a value-based partnership and integration with the European Euro-Atlantic community can be successfully implemented in our neighborhood. And lastly, conclusion. Dear ladies and gentlemen, over the past 20 years, Georgia has grown tremendously as a young and vibrant democracy. We have emerged as a true leader of stability and prosperity in the Eastern European region. We appreciate the resounding support from the European Union and the United States as we have pushed through comprehensive reforms to strengthen our country's democratic values and economic freedom. Our commitment to aligning more closely with the European Union goes hand in hand with our commitment to continued democratic transformation. We are ready to be European neighbors, not just neighbors of Europe. We have initiated and implemented key political, constitutional, economic, and judicial reforms directed towards strengthening democracy, the rule of law, judicial independence, transparency, and social welfare, as well as respecting human rights and fundamental freedoms. And our steadfast commitment to Western integration, extends beyond our domestic democratic and economic reforms. We are also committed to increasing our engagement with the international community on key security issues. We have proved this many times. And my country's successful European and Euro-Atlantic integration will not only benefit my country, I want to underline this, but it will also bring greater stability and security to the entire region. Moreover, the integration of a strategically located transportation and energy hub into the Euro-Atlantic space will provide long-term political and economic advantages to all our partners. Dear friends, I hope that I have managed to adequately describe the recent developments in Georgia's political, economic, and security landscape, and the role we play and can further play in advancing European and Euro-Atlantic interests in our region. I have hardly begun to describe my country. I wish I could impress upon you the richness of Georgia's heritage, the warmth of its people, and the sublime beauty of its landscape. But I will not this evening take up any more of your time. Instead, I would like to warmly encourage you to visit my country and discover for yourselves its many treasures and witness the making of a new European nation. Thank you very much indeed.